Of course, there's a variety of reasons why Simon and I enjoy the boxing hour every Thursday. We can catch up with Spencer Oliver, find out what he's been up to in his mad social whirl. We can also get the very latest on who's going to be fighting who. And many of you get in touch this lunchtime, ask us those very questions. We've heard from Callum Smith. We've heard from Krasiuk, of course, from Usyk's camp, that Usyk is ready for Fury now in May. And many of you asking us what's next for Lawrence Okolie, the same Lawrence Okolie who lost to Chris Smith last May down in Bournemouth. We're glad that you're asking us that, because Lawrence Okolie's promoter, Ben Shalom, joins us live this lunchtime. Ben, good afternoon to you. Lawrence Okolie, what's next?
Good afternoon. Look, big news coming soon. It's been a difficult period. I think Lawrence knows that. He lost his world title, had performances that he wasn't happy with for a long time. A lot of that, for me, might have been down to his weight. He's a big lad. He's 6'6" guy with a huge frame, and he was struggling with it. And we could see it in the final fights. And we had the opportunity at the start of this year to think, you know, do we go back for that cruiserweight world title? And he and his team made the decision that now was the right time. Now was the time to fight at the weight he felt most comfortable at, to fight at weight he's natural at. So he'll be moving up in weight. I've seen talks around bridgerweight and heavyweight, but we'll have announcements soon. But yeah, he's definitely moving up from cruiserweight now.
Yeah, it's interesting that, Ben, isn't it? Because there was talk of that for quite some time now with Lawrence Okolie. He has that frame. He's very tall. He's got wide shoulders. So it was evident that he was going to move up at some point. And you saw the fight against Chris Smith last May, and you just saw the fragility around him. Like, you know, he didn't look the same fighter. I don't know if he was struggling to make the weight, but it was a bad performance from Lawrence Okolie and a bad night, and it was probably the best time is now to move up. And the interesting thing is, does he go up and look to fight WBC champ in Lucas Rosansky, or do you go straight up to heavyweight? I think that's the interesting bit.
Yeah, that's what we're talking through at the moment. And I don't think it was just the performance of Chris Smith, Spencer. I think 2 or 3 fights, 2 or 3 performances he wasn't entirely happy with. He's an extremely talented guy, and you have to step back and say, well, what more is there to achieve at cruiserweight? You know, when you're struggling that much, and when it's such an ordeal, and you can see that it's affecting your performances, and you're getting older, you're getting closer to 30 and to the peak of your career. Look, we know a lot needs to change for Lawrence, and he'll want to change a lot of things, but we also know that weight was getting to the point where it was hurting him. And as I say, we made a decision, and he made a decision, rather than fight for the cruiserweight world title again and continue his career at that weight. It's definitely time to move up. And as you say, the decision between bridgerweight and heavyweight, and which comes first, for me, is undeniable. He'll end up as a heavyweight. That's where he wants to fight. And it's just about what step is next.
Where is he now in credibility terms? I'm surprised that you're talking about his weight, because I don't see him being particularly much bigger than Richard Riakporhe, and yet Richard Riakporhe's still active at cruiserweight.
Yeah, but he's got big shoulders. He is very tall. Like he will fit into a big heavyweight, to be fair. I think Okolie, definitely. Also, he's got that frame.
Also, I have to be honest, Richard won't be there long. You know, Richard is an absolute monster as well. And I
understand that. But he might step up with winning a world cruiserweight title rather than step up having lost one. Where is Lawrence? I mean, there's always been this thing about Lawrence where the entertainment value that he brings and some of the quality that he brings to the ring isn't always the most engaging. It's been going back over his career. And obviously he's had a period out of the ring, Ben, where he was in Saudi contractually in dispute with various people, comes back, has 2 fights, both of them quite poor. Where is he now, and how do you rebuild him? Because obviously you've got an investment in him, you want him to be successful. How do you rebuild Lawrence Okolie to being an appealing boxer that people want to see?
I think Lawrence knows it. I think for a long time, as when you're a world champion, you'll do anything. I think he got to the point where he'd do anything to win, and he stopped developing as a boxer, and he stopped thinking about how entertaining was, and it was almost win at all costs. I do think there's a relief off his shoulders a little bit now that he doesn't have that world title, now that he isn't just going in there. He's had time to look at his style, look at his training team, look at what to work on. Look, it's undeniable, and I felt for him. He's had a huge amount of criticism around his performances, especially the last 2 or 3 fights. He knows he needs to change, and that's upon him. We know he can beat, can win fights. But this game is about entertainment, and he knows that, and he feels that he's got his best chance of entertaining at heavyweight.
Well, Ben, Fabio Wardley against Fraser Clark should be pretty entertaining. You've got that in the pipeline for us. Is there news, or am I jumping the gun, that Ben Whittaker might feature that night as well?
Yeah, we've just announced Ben Whittaker. It's a huge card, that one. Now we've got Congo Marku on there. Babic has just been announced as his return in a chaotic fight against Steve Robinson as well. And then to add Ben Whittaker and Callum Simpson, another potential star. It's a huge night at the O2. One more announcement to come tomorrow as well. But Ben's flying at the moment. I spoke to him yesterday, and he look, we all knew it was coming for him. We all knew the superstardom was coming, but it's a lot to get used to. It's happened so quickly for him. He's gone from almost a prospect to one of the most talked about fighters in the country, if not in boxing. And yeah, he's still a kid, and so he was laughing yesterday at how much his life was suddenly changing. The interest is crazy, and to get him back out and keep him active now is the key.
I can imagine. Who's he going to fight?
We'll announce that in the next week or so. He's obviously just come out of his last fight. I know people are very keen on him to step up, but we'll see, and we'll announce that next week.
Louis Edmondson comes to mind. I mean, there's been a bit of back and forth between them two. I know that Edmondson wants that fight. That's a great fight to make, Ben.
It's a big fight. It's a big fight, and it's something that we'll be talking to Ben about. But there's a lot of big fights for him there in that division, and for us, about developing properly. It's about having the right steps up. It's about building his brand, building his profile as well, and his experience. He's still a prospect. He's had 5 or 6 fights. He's moving very, very, quickly in terms of his profile outside the ring, and we have to make sure he gets that experience and he boxes regularly. Last year was extremely frustrating for him. He had a huge amount of injuries. He should have boxed a lot more. Now he's boxed December the 10th, February the 3rd, March the 31st. That's how you build a star. That's how he gains confidence, and that's how he gets to where he's going to be. But talent-wise,
you've got another announcement to make tomorrow, you were saying, Ben?
Yes, another big fight on that card.
Oh, wow.
And yeah,
good man. Why not make it now?
I knew this was going to happen. I can't because, as I say, I think I get a trouble with.
Understood. Listen, what about Suleiman's comments in 30 seconds about like VAR in boxing? You've pushed for this technology, haven't you? Spencer's been talking about it this morning.
Yeah, I think for the big fights, it makes a lot of sense. You have so many decisions at the moment that are being all the time. It's frustrating as a promoter as well, because you're usually the one that gets blamed. And so I welcome anything. It takes investment. It takes everyone getting on board with it. But when there's such high stakes, and when you've got fighters' careers going one way or the other based on a decision at the end of the fight, and you look at the other sports, whether it's tennis, whether it's football, boxing is a huge sport now. It's one of the biggest sports in the world, definitely in this country. And the investment now needs to go in so that the fans can trust what's going on, see what's going on, and we get to the decision. I think it will add some more excitement as well.
Well said, Ben. Ben Shalom, thank you. You're always welcome with us. Spencer, thank you for being with us, as always.
Thank you.
This Thursday. Simon and I will not be here tomorrow. I think Sam Matthews is on with Mark and Keown. Looking forward to that. You, my friend, are heading off to España this afternoon.
Indeed.
Enjoy the little surprise that Spencer and I have organised for you at Passport Control. If you get through, you'll do well.